On Saturday, March 22nd, Harbour Mitchel led a walking tour of Merryspring's American Revolutionary War encampment in East Meadow. This is a recording of that program.
In one form or another, mostly contract. When dams are licensed and things like that, they have archaeology they have to do. Maine DOT puts in a culvert, they have to think about archaeology. When a bridge is built, they have to think about archaeology, and that's how I made part of a living from the late 1980s on. I do personal research as well. So for the last 35 years, I've been doing personal research, like here at Merryspring. I usually don't invest enormous amounts of time in any particular one site. What I want to find is when a site is from, what's in the site, and who was there. And once I have those three things, the rest is just, do I want to keep working on it? So I like to move from place to place to build a core of sites that somebody else might come and work on. There's a report they can look at, there's artifacts they can work with, and they can build on that. The last thing I want to do is take it all out of the ground at once, because science evolves and technologies evolve, and other people after I'm long dead and gone will be able to bring other things to bear on that site that I don't have access to today. So I want to conserve some of it. But ultimately, archaeology is about destroying the very thing you're studying. So even conservation from that perspective is a waste of time. It's not like a forest that you can study, you can cut some of it down and it'll grow back. Once the context is destroyed in the ground, it's gone. So I want to begin with that. Let's move down to the lower parking lot. There's a sign that says start. I want you to look around right here and tell me what you see. Look down. I'll give you a clue. What do you see? Thank you. What is it?
Cellar hole?
It's a cellar. Did you say it?
Yeah, she did.
All right. You don't get anything for that, but okay.
Whoa!
Applause. Amen. When I walked through here in April 7 years ago, I was interested in the cellar up there. As I walked through, I saw this, and this took 2 years. This is a filled cellar. Those 4 flags bound the chimney base. There was an enormous chimney to this house, and all chimneys at the time needed stone bases to support the weight. So you would put a 6 or 8 foot square pit in the ground, a foot deep, 1.5 foot deep, and you'd fill it with boulders and cobbles. Then you would build your chimney on that, and that would support your chimney. Cellars had absolutely no purpose besides storing food. Through the summer it was cool, and in the winter it didn't freeze. There was no infrastructure in a cellar. The houses were on the surface, and if the chimney was on unfrosted ground, the house would heave and break away from the chimney. So the chimneys were on the ground as well. Tell me if you can hear this. Where is it? Come here, you. You hear it? It's here, only about 6 inches under the ground, which means it was never plowed. You would have broken your plow. So you have a chimney base that would have faced you and an open hearth. from there to there on the hump is the other end of this building. And it goes from about John or Elizabeth across to about here. Somewhere's right in you. Look on the front of your handout. You see it now? If you look that way, hold your handout up, that's exactly what was here. In 1779. The actual image is the Conway house up the street, but that's another story. I swiped it. Okay, underneath your feet, right here, are tens of thousands of pieces of ceramics, gun flints, food bone, glass, whether it's bottles or drinking vessels, you name it, it's here. It covers this entire area. Tens of thousands of pieces. In 1779, the Continentals thought it was a good idea to try and kick the English out of Castine. They had a fort in Castine. Long story short, it didn't go so good. We got our proverbial you-know-what's kicked. It was horrible. We had hundreds of militia and Penobscot warriors from Glen Cove. There was a fort. They went. There was a navy, our navy. It went. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of men. We got creamed. And the entire Navy went upriver because it couldn't get out because the English Navy had blocked the river, and they scuttled them. We lost our entire northeastern Navy in the Penobscot River. What do you do when you lose that bad? You run away. To fight another day? Everyone, the Continentals, the Penobscots, every individual man, woman, and child from Stockton Springs to here evacuated because the British were behind them and they weren't very pleasant to work with. Belfast and Northport, Bayside, Stockton, absolutely empty. Everybody ran for their lives with what they could carry. This was the line. What we know as modern Camden was the front line. If you were on that side of the valley, you got shot and killed. That was the concern. If you're on this side, you're still in our territory. This is the equivalent of North Korea and South Korea, with a demilitarized zone in between. Death, life. If you were the militia and you knew that Thomaston, your Continental headquarters, was at the end of, oh yeah, this road, you knew the British could come in and take Thomaston. It's only 10 miles, 11 miles. You can do it in 5 hours at a quick march. If England, which was a naval empire, landed troops in either our Camden Harbour or Rockport Harbour, they walk up the hill on Elm Street or Camden Street to the subway, and then they walk right down the county road to Thomaston. Everything north of Boston would have been under British control. We would be having the Union Jack over our post office today. That's how desperate 1779 and 80 were. Captain Philip Ulmer, born and raised in Waldoboro, born in 1751, Christmas Day. He was commander of the fort, Fort Pine Hill, in Glen Cove, which then was also Camden. He sent a company of militia and Penobscots here. Why? Because this was the place that they could defend. If you were in Camden Harbor, as we know it, you can't see Rockport Harbor, and vice versa. So there's no point in putting men and materials that are limited now at this point in either one. Put them where there's a constriction. You know the story of the 300 Spartans? They fought thousands of enemies at a constriction in the geography, because it doesn't matter how many you have on one side if only 5 guys at a time can come through the gap. You can stop them. Where is our gap? If you have a palisade at the edge of a steep valley, running up along an earthwork ditch to the county road, the gap is right up there where the road comes through the palisade. Nobody is going to get through this wall. This was the barracks. 1779, Penobscots, Continental Militia living here to protect that road for about a year, maybe 2. The war ended in 83. Problem solved. Don't need this anymore. It's abandoned. It was probably abandoned a little before that. So a guy comes along, he says, I like it. I think I'll move in. So he does. Sometime in the late 1780s, I'll see what his name is here in a second. I can never remember. They're all Elijah or Ezekiel's or something. Oh, come.
What's his name? Michael Chase? Michael Chase?
First one. Shays?
Chase?
Thank you. The very first one was a squatter. The military had promised Continental Militia land and a place to live, grow some crops as pay. England had lost this territory, so the Continental Militia just took what they wanted. He came here and took this house. He then sold it in the 90s. Then it got sold again. But there were men who had essentially been given all of this region once upon a time by the Crown, the 20 associates. They divided the entire region into lots. You think Camden and Rockland is subdivided now? The entire Mid-Coast Maine on paper was chopped up into little squares in the 1760s. Merryspring is 2/3 of a 100-acre lot, lot number 71 from the 1760s. It's the northern 2/3, 66 acres, right, John?
Yes.
Yeah, 66. That lot existed as 100 acres until the at least 30s. And it exists today as Merryspring. There were 4 or 5, you'll probably see them in your handout, 4 or 5 families or individuals who used this house as their home until about 1800, 1803. In 1803, this entire lot was purchased by Asa Husmer, Camden's first school teacher. Also the guy after whose name the pond is named, right? His brother Nathaniel lived on that hill going up from the pond. So the Hosmers were here in the late 1700s and started to purchase their own lands. Asa bought this place. This house was now something like 30 years old. It was rotting. It was built on posts. Everything starts to sink after about 20, 30 years. When the posts rot, the door starts hitting the dirt. You got to either cut the door off or get rid of the dirt or build a new house. By the 1800s, this house was no longer habitable. All of the ceramics from around this house date from 1779-80 to about 1805, and it's done, completely abandoned. Can you all see a hump that runs from the back of this chimney toward that bush, toward that tree? Can you see the hump? This building was picked up and slid over to there. That was the level ground that was made to facilitate moving this building. Otherwise, you'd have had a slope. Doesn't work good for a house. Then this was filled. Cellars don't get filled until the house is gone. This was filled when that house was built with what was left over from building that house. Boulders, clay, sand and gravel. Then it was used as a dump. Food bone, pottery, glass, knives, forks, spoons, everything you can imagine. Sitting in a 12 by 15, which is enormous for a colonial cellar. 12 by 15 cellar, 5 feet deep. Non-stop goodies. Non-stop. I did 1 square meter, 1 square yard. I was 4 feet down. It took me days to get all the material out of the ground. Screening, troweling, tossing out boulders till I got to the bottom. And it's all clay. This is the hardest digging in Maine. Hard pan. It took dozens of men, days to dig that out. And the hump around behind you is the back dirt. Questions? Shoot. That's all right.
Is the material that you dug in Merryspring now that we can see, is it on display?
Where are your artifacts from the dig?
Oh, I can't tell you that. They're in the basement. John's got them.
Oh, they're not
There's
on display.
boxes and boxes and boxes
We're
of
working.
artifacts.
We're working on it.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Glad to have
And
help.
they have a copy of the report as well. And it is public domain. I don't have any particular possessiveness around it. And it wasn't a paid effort. All of this work is gratis. I want you to understand that. It's just me in my old age. Some of it before I got old. But it's always gratis, this kind of work for me. I got paid to do it. I know how to do it. Nobody else is doing it. So feather in my cap, and everybody gets to learn something. Other questions? Shoot.
Is the clay of this area used in any industrial way? Is it used for pottery or ceramics?
Is the clay in this area used for any industrial purpose? Like
Pottery.
Okay.
Oftentimes potters would use the marine sediment. This clay is not really clay, it's marine sediment. When this area was submerged 14,000 years ago, 13,000 years ago, it was 200 feet lower than it is today. The weight of the ice that was sitting on it pushed it down. Isostatic and eustatic rebounding. If you throw a tennis ball at the ground, it'll bounce back up, maybe higher than your hand. That's what the shoreline of Maine did. The weight of the ice pushed it down about 70 meters, 200 feet, and then it rebounded 200 feet higher than it is today. Islesboro was a hill with a river going down between us and it. Now it's on its way back down. So we're on our way back down. But while it was covered with water, the ice had moved back, the ocean had come in, covered it, and laid down silt just over time. Ours is a blue-gray, what we call presumpscot silt. And sometimes it has shells in it, and it smells like clam flats. They used it for pottery in the 1800s, especially over places like Waldoboro, where they had wide mud flats made of that clay. They could simply harvest it. Yep. So usually for redware, utilitarian vessels, crockery, milk pans, inexpensive household working pottery, not real fine. Yeah. John.
Harbour, can you tell us about what you told me about the pottery and they can just throw it out because it's so cheap and all?
Oh, absolutely. In the early parts of the 1700s, pottery was very, very brittle. It was the color of John's coat, the paste, the clay, and it was very soft. And it was covered with a tin-based glaze. We know it as Delft or Delftware. Delft with an uppercase D is Dutch. Delftware with a lowercase d is English. That's just so we don't get it mixed up. Pottery was not a very well-developed technology at the time. By 1740s, stoneware was produced. Much harder, fired at a much higher temperature, and impervious. You didn't need glaze, but you still glazed it because it was pretty. So they used salt glaze. In the kiln, they would throw salt. It would vaporize, coat the vessel, and you get that golf ball surface, that orange peel surface on the jugs and the crockery. Salt glaze. By 1760s, salt glaze was done, more or less. Someone came up with what they call whiteware, white earthenware. It's harder than the buff earthenware, but it's not impervious. It's porous, so it's a lower temperature fired ceramic, but it is very white. Chinese porcelain was everybody's big deal. Blue on white. The English were trying to replicate that white with blue on top. They came up with white earthenware and they gave it a clear lead glaze, lead-based glaze. Nasty stuff. It was cheap. They could knock it out by the millions for next to nothing. The glaze changed the color of the white earthenware to kind of a creamy yellow, or a yellowish cream, and we call it creamware. Creamware was the fashion of the day from at least the 1760s all the way up into the early 1800s. For decades and decades. The Queen liked a particular pattern, molded pattern, and it's called Queensware. There's also a royal pattern. Creamware was principally molded, not painted or decorated in any other way. It broke, big deal, go to Walmart, get another one. Cheaper than Walmart. It was throwaway. By the 1790s, they came up with the idea of putting ground cobalt into the glaze to brighten it up. On the bottom of a plate where the foot ring is, glaze will pool. Creamware has a slight greenish hue when it pools. Pearlware has a slight blue hue when it pools, like blue snow. It's white, but it looks blue. It was getting closer to the color of porcelain. And they also figured out how to put color on the plates before they were fired and have it survive, not burn. So by 1795, 1797, we started to see pearlware with more cobalt in the glaze and multiple colors, polychrome, very fine brushed polychrome, hand painted under glaze. This place is packed with it.
And Can you just share with them that little cultural piece around when a woman maybe dies in childbirth and the man remarries?
Oh, I think you just did.
No. Can you tell about-
Oftentimes, according to Elizabeth, when a woman died, her husband remarried, the new wife would throw out all the pottery. And you'll find it in the bottom of a well or a privy. And new pottery would come in. They were very possessive of their identity. It was kind of a social piece, a cultural piece. But for the most part, what you see here is not that. What you see here is discard and refuse. Pottery at that time would crack and split just from the hot water being poured into the teacup. So it was expendable, it was discardable. You just go and get another one.
Can you tell them how you often identify where the kitchen door is?
Oh, that's a good point. Where's the front of the house? Here, underneath John and this line right here. Most of the midden, M-I-D-D-E-N, or dump, is from you out. The front door is where it went. Food, scraps, human waste, right? Chamber pots, they're there for a reason. Goes in the front yard. The whole front is covered with nothing but trash and waste. When you drive out on the Conway Road, on the county road, you look at the Conway house. The whole front yard, 30 feet long, 16 feet wide, and a foot thick, is nothing but this stuff from 1790s on. Tons of it, tens of thousands of pieces of everything. That continued until about the 1820s. Then social, cultural dictate changed, and they took their trash somewhere else. But the front yard is always the dump. So the very first test pit I didn't put it in the hole, I put it out here, just like that. I really didn't have to do anything else to know when this was, or that it was here. Any other questions, John?
So the corner of the vernal pool that's right over there
The
was,
corner of the...
The corner of the vernal pool.
which is right over there, was a dump.
Yep.
So do we have any guesses when that would have been?
If it's on the other side of the Blue Trail Road,
Just over.
19th century. Probably associated with the quarries.
Okay.
Yep. All right, let's walk up here. This is the front door of Asa Hosmer's house. Why do you think this is the front door?
Crash.
Trash.
No,
The road?
the road. That right there is the county road. That's the equivalent of Route 1 in 1800. A horse and wagon at a mile an hour would take a couple of minutes to get past here. You could stand on your porch and wave, and wave, and wave, and then wave for hours. Everybody who came from Thomaston to get to downtown Camden came through here. Everybody. And when they got to the Conway house, they were at the intersection of 4 different lots. Everybody know the 4 corners? New Mexico, Colorado, right? Right there. This road came out right where those 4 lots intersected. The Conway house. If you follow the Conway house driveway, you will go to the original Camden town pound where they kept stray livestock. And the road continued all the way to South Rockport, to Peter Ott's Tavern, where they held the town meetings. That was still Camden. So essentially, something like Route 105 coming off of Route 1, right there. You could take a right at the Conway House and go straight to Peter Ott's. That was the center of Camden. The town meeting house was on Park Street near the golf course. The pastor's lot was just beyond here, on the other side of Goose River. 4 lots there, a major farm here, lime quarries in Rockport. This was the center of Camden. Downtown was just a working place. That's why this house is where it is. It's looking at the road and watching the world go by. To the, what would that be? West. In those trees, you'll see a large apple tree there. If you were to walk past that apple tree 100 or so feet, on your right is a very large surface foundation for a barn. In the 1700s and early 1800s, houses and barns were far separated. It wasn't until much later in the 19th century that we got big house, little house, back house, barn. They started moving the footprints closer together. This is 1800. Not colonial, but not really 19th century. Transition. Barn's over there. The house is here. The road goes right in front of both.
Was the distance to prevent fire, or to
Why
help in case
why
there
were
was
the
fire?
buildings so separated? Was it to
English
prevent-
tradition.
Oh,
Ah,
Yep. Because theoretically fire was more of an issue when they hooked them together
okay.
later on.
Right.
But English tradition. And it also had, typically had the barn doors on the long side, not on the end. That's a later evolution. Questions?
So if this was the center of Camden
Yes.
at the time, were there businesses around here and shops and merchants and things
That
like
I don't know. I doubt it, but it's possible that you had home shops.
Okay.
I mean, you might have had a livery, you might have had a forge, you might have had other things. If the town pound is up here, you know that people are bringing stray animals from around to a center, so it is reasonable.
Okay.
And this road was still being used at least in 1810, 1812. It was probably pretty useless. It was eroding horribly. If you follow the road down, this road here, eventually you'll see it's all washed and gullied. If you're on Park Street and you look this way from Park Street, you will see an area running down across the slope of the field that is completely different than the rest of the field. It's the old road washed out and all gravel and bad soil, and the hayfield doesn't grow the same. You can see it from Google. So you can see where the road went through that field, down into a wetland, and across, and would have come right through here. Other questions? Let's head through that gap right over there to the other road, all the way through Merryspring.
There's a
In
wall there.
1833, the owner of this lot, and I'm not exactly certain who that was, gave by deed the legal right of a quarrying company to blow lime. That's what it says in the deed. They came here to quarry, but the deed says very specifically you cannot blow lime north of the county road. That side. You can only blow lime south of the county road. That wall divides the north and the south halves. All the quarries on Merryspring are on this side of that wall. Now, why is there a road here? Because they couldn't use the county road. They weren't allowed to. They built a commercial road to get lime from all of these quarries to the kilns at the coast. This is an industrial road. You hear the rock? This carried the wagons that weighed tons with limestone. It was cobble underlaid. When we get down toward the end, you'll see it rises 2 or 3 feet. You don't want to have to lug a wagon uphill. It's all level from the crown, another 1/4 mile back, all the way to through the gazebo and out the other side. Perfectly flat. And then it's all downhill from there. So I want you to understand Merryspring as you see it today, if nothing else, a takeaway. It is the direct result of human manipulation since 1764. Everything you see here is the direct result of people changing the landscape, the role of the landscape, how it was used, when it was used, all of it. Nothing here is natural. All the microhabitats in the quarries, awesome environments, didn't exist 100 years ago, before those quarries were built. This road didn't exist 100 years ago. Amazing transformations. Archaeology allows us to start to piece together how we have changed our world. And when we understand how we have changed it, we can go forward understanding the lessons that come out of that. Maybe, right? Maybe. We don't kill ourselves first. But that's why science is a good thing. History is a good thing. Learning what somebody said to me, if we remember what I taught you today, if you remember 10% of what I taught you today, that's 100% more than you knew when you got here, right? It's not 90% loss, it's 100% more. Asa Hosmer, the names of these families, the militiamen, the Penobscots, all of them were doing different things in this very same place. And now we're the stewards of all of that. If we don't keep it and then share it, it disappears.
Have you published,
Have I?
have you published this
My wife
information?
keeps saying, Harbour, write a book. Write a book.
I've told him that since
Oh my
we,
goodness,
since we
yes.
met.
You know how boring it is sitting and writing books? This is more
But
fun.
you are,
I am published in the sense that there are reports of the work that I do, but there is no comprehensive kind of aggregation.
but there might be soon.
Somebody keeps pushing me to put something together. But it is true. What she raises is a good point. If it's only here, we will lose it. Honest. So at some point, maybe with John's help, we may put together some kind of historic synthesis of the history of this property in ways that are not superficial. We know when it started as Merryspring, we know who started it as Merryspring, we know there's some quarries, but did anybody know Asa Hosmer's first house was here? No, nobody knows that. Nobody knows the militia were here. Nobody knows North Korea was on the other side of the valley. All of that stuff informs our not just knowledge base, but decision making about what's important, what we exclude, what we include, and we may have to do something. All right.
And honey,
Yes, sweetie.
do you want to give them your card?
Yes.
when we get to the
Oh,
lot.
okay, okay.
Yeah, I want you all to walk down. Oh, any questions? Any last questions here? All right, yes, one more.
So, when Merryspring Preserve was established,
1960,
74.
74.
so when that happened, was there knowledge of all the history here, or was it just about the
No.
forest?
It was about a vision of a few people to preserve a natural environment, as I recall.
They didn't know the historical significance.
Had no idea.
Well, that was lucky for them.
It was a blessing.
Yeah.
And I will just say this, you will not see anything else like this in Camden or Rockport. You know why? Because we build on top of ourselves.
Yeah, we do.
It's all gone.
Yeah.
All gone. This is not only important because of who and what it is, but because it's the only one. It's the last one, which makes it even more important. But it was completely unknown. I'd like to take credit for that, but you know, anybody could have come here and put a hole in the ground and come up with a pottery, and they could have built the story. I just happened to be the one.
So John has this recorded,
The report is here at Merryspring.
but you could dictate this to somebody who could then do the work
It's
of
a-
transcribing it.
It's on hard drive.
He does have reports.
You want a copy?
Yeah,
John, can I give her a copy? Okay, done.
absolutely.
It's 5 volumes.
Maybe 20% would then see this.
You got about 20% of what the report will give you. I will put, seriously, this is true. The pearlware ceramics were brand new on the market in 1790s. There are no less than 35 to 40 different tea sets represented at that house from a guy that lived there for 3 years.
What? That many wives?
That's a lot of wives, yeah. But no, but that's exactly it. The report has way more than I just gave you,
Yeah.
and pictures too.
But lots of people would love to know this about their backyard.
You know, I was saying to Elizabeth on the way here, everybody loves to know it, but nobody wants to help. It's true. I pretty much did this alone.
Well, we thank you.
Well, I wasn't fishing, but now that you mention it, yeah. All right, thanks, folks. Let's walk back, and I want you to notice how elevated the road is as we get back toward the lot. John's predecessor, Brett, and I took a walk in April in 2017, I think it was, and we just walked the property. I knew there was a cellar hole with a stone lining in the eastern meadow, east field. That's what I came to see. As I walked across the field, I saw something else that then took 2 years for me to understand better. So I'll put that as a preface because I don't want to give it away. All right. So I have a script that I'm going to try and organize choreography as we walk and stop and talk. So if you have questions, we'll ask them at the end of a minute or two, and then we'll go to the next place. All right. So I want you to start using your imagination first. I want you to look toward the gate to Merryspring, and at the same time, I want you to imagine there is absolutely nothing here. No trees, no cars, no big circular loop, no buildings, absolutely nothing. Now imagine you're standing on a dirt road, probably 1 rod wide or 16 feet, right? Our roads are 2-rod roads. They're 33 feet wide, our right-of-ways, as an English measure. So imagine a 16-foot wide dirt road from here straight through the gate, all the way to the top of the hill at the Subway sandwich shop. And that's all there is. Now I want you to turn around this way. And I want you to look right through there and do the exact same thing. That's 1764. you are exactly where the very first road in mid-Maine was placed. It came from Thomaston to Stockton Springs for 40 miles, and it was right here, running through the middle of Merryspring. Now, everybody local enough to know street names like Park Street in Rockport and so forth? Yeah. Okay. Those are all part of the original colonial county road. Right? We have Old County Road in Rockland and Rockport. Guess what? They're part of the 1764 county road. Governor Bernard, the Massachusetts governor, ordered a 40-mile road cut between the fort in Thomaston, Fort St. George's, and the fort in Stockton Springs, built in 1759. That was here, and the only reason was to get men and logistics in the military from one fort to the other when they couldn't sail, because you'd have men isolated at one end getting shot and nobody could get to them. That was the one and only main road through Midcoast for decades. Until 1811, there was no alternative to get from Thomaston to here.
Thomaston's down there. Thomaston is down there.
Thomaston that way?
Yep, yes. Park Street is at the end of Merryspring. You take a left and go through Simonton Corner, and Park Street continues at an angle to the intersection of 17 and 90. The reason Park Street is at an angle is because it came from the other direction straight. 17 and 90 were not there. So it was a straight road. When I was a boy, it came directly into the intersection at a really weird angle. And that's why DOT changed it all. But it went right up on the ridge behind Mesas and Rocky Pond. It went down to Old County. It cut across what is Route 17 at the old nursery, the Green Thumb, I believe it is. Yeah. And it went around Chickawaukee because it couldn't go along the southern side of Chickawaukee, too steep. And it came out on by Penn Bay Medical. It went 500 feet and then it turned onto what we know as Old County Road. So it wound all through and it came right through here, got to the top of the hill, and it split. It went to the right, Camden Street, and it went to the left, Elm Street. That was it. And Elm Street went all the way to Stockton.
Wow.
All right. Any questions?
How was it laid out?
How was it laid out?
Yeah, I mean, did they have some sort of surveying?
Did they have any surveying?
Oh, absolutely. It was fully surveyed. So you had a whole engineering crew that came through. Some of it may have been original Indian trail. This part was probably original native trail because it would have been a lot easier to go on the other side of the valley, like John Street, and then walk down the hill. Because behind Merryspring is a swamp. It's a wetland, and you'd have to walk right through it. So it may originally have been a native trail. But some of the road is actually engineered in a way that you can still see it today in fields. If you drive down Park Street toward the golf course, on your right is a very large field before you get there. That's right behind us here to the west. If you look very, very carefully, within 50 to 100 feet of current Park Street, you'll see an elevated flat terrace running through the field. That's the original road. Wow. It comes from up at the crown of the hill, follows contour, because the English didn't like to walk up and down. They would follow contour. It's all flat. Horses, people, they don't get tuckered out. They would follow contour. And if you look at Park Street today, it ends at the Rockport line where there's an enormous gully. There's a huge erosion gully. They went around it. So it's well engineered. And to some extent that shows up in our road system today. It follows contour, it's flat, it's level, it works really well. We don't have to do an awful lot of this. Any other questions?
Is there a map of the original road online somewhere?
Is there a map of the original road online?
No, but I can send you one.
Oh, yes.
Roughly.
Yeah.
You know, it's Old County Road in Rockland is not really Old County Road.
Okay.
That's the second Old County Road. The original Old County Road is on the other side of the valley. They put the new Old County Road through the lime quarries.
Yeah.
And Route 1 is now the new county road. So we have 3 county roads there. Yeah, but it comes out at Blackington Corner just the same, and then it's directly to Route 1, right through just like it does today. But I can send you something. I'll give you my card later.
Thank you.
All right, other questions? All right, let's walk this way. Water down there would fill a cattle pond pretty quickly and keep it going all year. I think there might have been a small dam down toward the bridge. All right, there's one reason and only one reason I brought you here, other than the fact that this is the only potable water on site. There's no running water up here on this elevated limestone dome, or plateau, if you will, peninsula. This is shaped like a mitten, and this stream goes all the way around the fingertips and ends up in the Goose River. So this is the only water up here that's available to anybody living on this surface. But the reason I brought you here, because I want you to see how steep this is. It's absolutely death-defyingly steep. If you wanted to go from there to there, and there was a wall here, you couldn't do it because you can't go around. If I put up a palisade, does everybody know what a palisade is? Wooden logs vertically, side by side. If I built a palisade here, you'd have to go around that way, or you'd have to go around that way. And that's a mess. And I have the high ground, right? So it's strategic. Okay? I want you to keep that in mind. Any questions? Let's walk. Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah, I just had a question. So in the 1700s, would this have all been cut? No trees, no forest?
In the 1700s, would this have all been cut? No trees, no forest?
This was almost certainly cut to some extent when the road was cut through in 1764. And there is a potential because, I'll get to your actual question. A loaded wagon drawn by oxen can go about 10 miles a day. If you have men cutting a 40-mile road, you have at least 4 different stations that have to be established because they're not going to commute. This may have been initially one of those stations. It's about 10 miles from Thomaston, which means at every 5 miles, a wagon has to turn around and go back. So they may have had incremental 5 to 10 mile stations for 40 miles. And when they did, they'd have to have a place for oxen, men to sleep, all of those logistics. They would have had to clear a very large area. At the time, a climax forest, assuming it was a climax forest, you had trees that were 50, 80 feet apart because they had a crown that was at least that far apart halfway to the next tree. So you didn't have to clear but one tree and you had a football field open, right? So clearing is not what we think of as clearing. Clearing is a couple of logs and you've got a great big open space. So cutting a road is not at all like what we think of. Cut one tree and you can go for a half a mile. And you can go around the stump, all of that. So clearing is something that we think of when we think of fields, agricultural, all that stuff. This is a little different context. So it was already pretty open. You just wanted to open up some sunshine, get the road open strategically so it wasn't places for people to hide behind trees, things like that. And you could go miles in a day with a big crew. So this would have been cleared fairly early. Yes. That's all right. Elizabeth can hear.
If this is the only potable, what's that word?
Potable.
Water. Shouldn't the house be somewhere close to here? Like,
Good point.
who wants to lug it up that hill?
Good point. She's asking if this is the only potable water.
Yes.
And it's way down there.
Yes.
Shouldn't a household be down there? Who
No.
wants to lug it all the way up here?
That's why we have children. It's true. Down there is wet. All the rain is going to run off into your backyard. Up here is dry and high. Okay. And there's another reason. I keep saying strategic. Think military. Do you want to be down there when people up here can shoot you? No. Okay. You want to be up here. And if you want to have a road cutting through, you don't want it down there. You want it up here on the high ground. Dry, easy to work with. Down there it's wet. Bridges, a lot more logistics. Great question. And one of the things that I found while I did my work here, that this slope here behind me is the path to that spring. There is pottery in the ground from the 1700s all the way down, because the kids dropped the pitcher. And the stream bed is full of pottery too, because it would chip or it would break and it would be in the stream bed. So there's pottery from the mid 1700s all the way up well into the 1800s. Anything else? Yes?
Is there significance to this gully and the stones?
Is there significance to the gully and the stones?
Yes and no. This, I think, is the result of Asa Hosmer building a house here looking for rock for his cellar. This knoll has no rock in it. It's all clay. There's no sand and gravel. The glaciers dropped all the sand, gravel, boulders, and that sort of thing down in the low spots. Up here, it's horrible, horrible clay. You can only put grass on it. You'll never grow anything of any value. And there's not a pebble in it. Nothing bigger than my fist. So to find rock to line a cellar, you've got to find a little deposit. And I think they were digging out here to try and get a small deposit and maybe take out some of the bedrock to help supplement that. But I'm not certain. All right, let's go. The reason I brought you here, and I want everybody to take a second, walk in carefully, and look at the ditch. Look at the ditch to the left, and look at the ditch to the right, and look ahead of you, and you'll see a rather significant berm. And then come back out. Okay. No, I know.
A drain. A drain? A drain?
Nope, not a drain. Think strategic.
Maybe a trap?
No, almost. It's an earthwork. If you are an approaching enemy and you come over that berm, you have to run down into this ditch first before you can get here. If I put up a palisade along this side of that ditch, now you're stuck. You're not only in a 2-foot ditch, but you got a 9-foot palisade to get over. And you got a berm behind you that you got to climb up to get out. It may not be the highlight of the tour, but it's critical to understanding why this is here, why what is here is here. Okay?
So, can I just add one thing?
Oh, yes. You took the money and now you're taking my show.
You have to understand, I live with an archaeologist. So, I get to hear all of his ideas. What could this be? What could that be? And he thinks, and he thinks about this ditch in particular. Oh, what if the men are walking through and they need a place to.
No. No, it's not a, no.
Not a privilege.
You did have to entertain that possibility.
That can be done anywhere. And believe me, it was probably all men. That's the other piece I want you to understand. The initial development was probably all male, except possibly for a woman or two to cook, or a family member that happened to be with those folk. That was not unusual for families to go with their men to a battlefront, if that was what they wanted to do. So no, it's not one of those. But right up in that corner is where the county road comes through. If you have a ditch all the way up to the county road, which is the only road from there to there, all you got to do is put a gate, and you've blocked all access to Thomaston. All right, let's walk right over here.
Thank you for watching Harbour Mitchell's program. For more information, please visit merryspring.org and our YouTube channel.